Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Those of you here and those of you online this morning, I'm Reverend Mary Murray Shelton, the community spiritual leader here. Let's take a breath together. How's everybody doing this morning? So-so, Joe says. Kind of so-so. Yeah. I know. Yes, our Leadership Council president is in India on a pilgrimage, and we're very happy for him that he's having such a lovely time. I want to give you an opportunity to say good morning and introduce yourselves to each other, as you were doing when I so rudely interrupted you to start the service. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is stand up, walk around, say hello, introduce yourselves to people that you don't know, welcome back others that you haven't seen in a while, and just generally get a little bit acquainted with one another here. And those of you online, please take a moment to welcome yourself this morning. Whether you're in your pajamas or you're all dressed and ready for the day, give yourself a little hug. In just a minute, we're going to sing our opening song. So hang in there. Wonderful, everybody. So we're going to sing our opening song this morning. We have Gary Lynn Floyd this morning doing music for us. He is the artist in residence at the Reno Center for Spiritual Living. We have videos from him, and we're going to sing along with them. The first one is a Karen Drucker song that you know, but you will see the words on the screen. So I want to invite you to stand and join us in the morning song.
So much to be grateful for. This is a song by my friend Karen Drucker. Sing it with me. I know you know it. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me,
Gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me,
gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. Well, I'm so grateful. 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 I'm so grateful.
Just think about all the things you're grateful for when you're singing this song.
I'm so grateful. Sing it again. Gratitude before me, gratitude behind me, gratitude to the left of me, gratitude to the right of me, gratitude above me, gratitude below me, gratitude within me, gratitude all around me. We're so grateful. 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 Oh.
Thank you, Gary. You may be seated. I want to encourage you to go ahead and silence your cell phone so we don't have interruptions unexpectedly during the morning. And we want to welcome our morning practitioner who's now going to come up and give us our opening prayer, Lori Greer.
I am so grateful. Grateful to know all of life is God. God is expressing and unfolding through every person, place, and thing that exists. God is expressing through every relationship, every condition, whether it appears to be good or not. It is God that is expressing and unfolding and becoming more known. And all of this life, we live and move and have our being as God expressing. And so I am knowing for each person the divine unfolding, the infinite intelligence, beauty unbound, prosperity, abundance, joy, love, connection, all of the qualities of God expressing through each individual here and within the sound of my voice and circling the globe. There is no spot where God is not. And so I know for each one that power, that presence, that joy wants to express more fully and completely in every life, in every form. And so I call that good forth for us today. And I know that the infinite presence is here and now and today in this service, and that each person here is blessed by the activity of spirit in the service, in the coming together, in the sharing of this time, in the celebration and glorification of all the good that God is. And so I give thanks for knowing that this spoken word has power and that it is made manifest at the level of consciousness, and it touches each life in the perfect way and in the perfect time. And the manifestation, the demonstration is made. And so I give thanks for that demonstration. I give thanks for the knowing, for the deepening and the anchoring into this infinite, divinely whole and complete life, just as it is and just as it is becoming. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Laurie.
Walk a mile or a minute in another man's shoes. He's got a path to take to find his truth. Any way you spin it, he's a lot like you, finding his faith on roads that you never choose. Keep on walking, keep on walking. Don't let it cloud your vision. Love be your only mission always. Let go of the old condition. Love be your only mission always. Keep on walking. Keep on walking. Tell a tale, you're in it, you're a brother man's blues. You got a destination now and no excuse. Why do you condemn it when it's not your own? You can't unsee it once the light has shone. Keep on walking. Keep on walking, yeah. Don't let it cloud your vision. Love be your only mission always. keep on walking. One foot in front of the other, hand in hand, one with another. Walk with your sister and brother always. One foot in front of the other, hand in hand, one with another. Walk with your sister and brother always. Don't let it cloud your vision. Love be your only mission always. Let go of the old condition. Love be your only mission always. Don't let it cloud your vision. Love be your only mission always. Yeah. Let go of the old condition. Love be your only mission always. Keep on walking. Keep on walking. One foot in front of the other, hand in hand, one with another. Walk with your sister and brother always. One foot in front of the other, hand in hand, one with another. Walk with your sister and brother always. Keep on walking. Keep on walking, yeah. Keep on walking. Keep on walking.
I think that in his enthusiasm, Gary's got the laptop next to the piano so that as he's playing, his camera is shaking just a little bit, you know, so you can see it up there. It's like, no, he's not nervous. It's just actually vibration from his piano. This is the month of the Sacred Body Temple. So I've been talking all of this month about how the body serves us and how we can express more acceptance and love toward our own physical being. And I've talked about how it allows us to see, hear, feel, taste, touch, based on the interpretation of vibrations which come through the brain. So its intention is to step down for us all that huge amount of input that's coming to us so that we can perceive what is most important to us as it comes through. Now, today, though, the question is the body a cruel master or a loving servant? And I think that everybody has those days when they feel like, yeah, this is, my body is dragging me all over the place. I can't really do anything because of these cravings or this intensity or this anxiety or this whatever, you know. And I appreciate Gary's song saying, let love be your only mission always. So this fellow is kind of a good Samaritan. He's walking down the street in town when he comes across a body lying on the sidewalk and in the middle of the block. And so he's sort of distressed and shocked, and he's not sure what he should do, so he calls 911. And the emergency operator, you know, asks him what the emergency is and then asks him where the body's located. And he said, it's right here on Sycamore Drive, ma'am. And she says, can you spell that for me? He goes, S-I-C-K, no, wait. S-I-K, no, that's not it. S-I-C, oh heck, let me drive him over to Lake Street and I'll call you back. The intention to be helpful is there, but sometimes more than we can manage. And I think too that what happens with us physically is that it's hard for us to recognize that the body is just reflecting what the mind is doing. The intention of the body always is to follow and support. So it doesn't make decisions on its own. But it does have certain built-in features that can be a struggle for us to encounter or to deal with, right? So, for example, the brain is designed to physically change in order to support a particular activity. So if you want to learn how to whistle, for example, and you practice that and you spit your gum across the room and all those things that we do when we're trying to learn to blow bubbles or whistle, all those things. But as you work on it more and more, you get closer. And as you get closer and as you repeat the process of trying, the brain has to respond to that. So every thought we have, the brain responds. Every activity we engage in, every action we take, the brain responds. And it builds a pathway. And the more we repeat something, the deeper or more etched that pathway of neurons firing becomes, so that it's like you have little roadmaps in your brain. And those are how we develop our habits. They allow us to do things without having to think through every single step, every single time we do it. I mean, how many of you can drive a stick shift? Okay, now do you remember learning to drive a stick shift? Uh-huh. And how much did you have to pay attention to what all your hands and feet were doing, plus what was ahead of you and what was in your rearview mirror and your side mirrors? I mean, it's almost impossible. And then at some point, finally, they all start to work together. They all start to do what they're supposed to do. It's like you have an internal sense of when it's time to shift or downshift and how to do that. I learned how to drive a stick shift in Seattle, which is kind of like trying to learn to drive in San Francisco, where the hills are like this. In the winter, it gets kind of frosty. And so I would pray going up those hills that I wasn't going to have to stop, or that I did have to stop, that the person behind me wouldn't be too close, or at least if maybe I could be the first one after the light, you know, because first gear was the bugaboo. That was the one that was so hard for me. So learning in Seattle meant I learned tricks, and I also got confident because I had to learn how to do it and function. It was the only car I had. And over time, it got so that it was easy to do. That is the blessing of the way the brain is designed. The downside of it, though, is that as we're repeating things that upset us or that we're concerned about or that we're mad over or that really hurt us, and we think about those things over and over again, and when we think about them, the emotions rise up again. It doesn't matter how many years it's been with some of these things. The emotions rise up again, and it's almost like we're reliving the experience. So when that happens, we're recreating in our minds all of the capacities that go with that particular thought or memory that allow us to feel bad. And the same thing happens with things that are positive, except that human beings have this odd quirk in our nature, which is that we tend to focus more on the negative. It compels us in some way, maybe because it's different from our essence, which is wholeness and light, that when we see something or we experience something that's painful or difficult or we don't understand it, feelings of upset and frustration or anger or grief or guilt or sadness, whatever it is, arise, and we can feel them to some degree within our own bodies, as if we were having the experience in the moment, which we're not. But the more we've repeated whatever that memory is and its feelings, the more that pathway becomes ingrained, so that when we decide that's not really serving me, I think I want to change how I'm doing that, it doesn't change as soon as we decide that it should. And that can be frustrating. We feel like, well, this isn't working. I'm not successful with my affirmations because things aren't changing like they should be. Ernest Holmes, our founder, wrote in one of his earliest books, Creative Mind and Success, there's nothing manifest but that there is a cause for the manifestation. Investigation proves that behind every condition, whether of body or environment, there has been some thought, conscious or unconscious, which produced that condition. And Angela Atkins said, if you are unwilling to let go of a belief, let go of a habit, let go of an emotion, in order to have what you want, then you will never fully achieve your goal. It's like people say, well, would you rather be happy or right? Well, sometimes it seems like the choice ought to be obvious, right? But it isn't, is it? Sometimes I really, really want to be right. And so then if I discover I'm not, I'm even more embarrassed and frustrated that I was wrong. Can anybody relate to that, or is that just me? Yeah? Okay, good. I see a few hands shooting up out there. So this process of changing our inner geography, the mind only knows to respond to that when it gets those instructions over and over again, because if it responded with the same level of creativity in the geography of the brain with every thought we had, we'd never be able to focus on anything, because we would be all over the place. It wouldn't work. James Allen wrote in his little book, As a Man Thinketh, which is a classic from forever ago, the body is the servant of the mind. It obeys the operations of the mind, whether they be deliberately chosen or automatically expressed. At the bidding of unlawful thoughts, the body sinks rapidly into disease and decay. At the command of glad and beautiful thoughts, it becomes clothed with youthfulness and beauty. Now, James Allen makes it sound like it's instantaneous. But the truth is that every time we have a thought, some chemicals are released in the body that are in alignment with that thought, and they flood the body, all of the cells. Now, they may or may not have a youthening or uplifting, lasting impression on the body, but they have an instantaneous impression of some sort. It's only when the frequency of that thought or memory or behavior or activity occurs, the frequency and the emotion that goes with it, and the repetition, consistent repetition, that we get a really significant result. You know, when I was a kid and I learned how to roller skate, we had those old-fashioned ball-bearing roller skates. You know, they weren't, they rolled relatively smoothly, but they were noisy. They were very noisy. And as you roller skated on the pavement or the blacktop or the concrete or whatever it was, you'd get different kinds of vibrations coming through your feet, depending on the surface. And I mean really coming through your feet. So not only did you get noise, you got a lot of intensity in the feet. So you had to get used to that as a kid. And after a while, you get good at it and you expected it. You never thought anything of it. You were used to it. It didn't spook you at all. I have cats at home that are a little older than a year old. And some days, they're pretty calm. They were very skittish as kittens. Sometimes they're very calm, but other days, they freak out for apparently no reason whatsoever. You know, I will look at one of them and she'll run away. It's like, what did I say? Is it my breath? You know, you just don't know in that moment. It's an instantaneous fight or flight response that they have in that moment. For us, as more, civilized, maybe, beings, we have the internal response, but we don't necessarily respond physically to that internal response in the same way that they would. Our founder said in How to Use the Science of Mind, this is Ernest Holmes, because his thought is creative, it is always tending to build up situations and conditions in his body and teach it. The body will respond and award the mind. Oh, I just skipped over to the next quote. Oh, that's so funny. Because his thought is creative, it is always tending to build up situations and conditions in his body and environment which correspond to the unconscious patterns of his thinking. That's what Ernest Holmes is saying to us. The cruel master is one who looks at us with that, the eye of the critical parent who's always finding fault with something. So the cruel master of the body is the one that when we look in the mirror and see ourselves, our brains tell us all kinds of negative things. You know, you're not standing up straight. That could be one. Why don't you comb your hair? You're wearing that. All those kinds of things that are messages we might have heard at some point will play back for us. Sometimes they even play back for us in the voice of the parent, thank you, Mom, or in your own voice, but it's something Mom or Dad would have said. I can't remember what it was now, but many years ago, at one point, my mom made a comment, and I said later to my husband at that time, "That's so like Mom. She just says that all the time." And he looked at me and goes, "What do you mean? You say that all the time." I said, "No, I don't. That's my mother who says that." And then we were in the car going somewhere once, and I said it, and I heard myself say it, and he said, "There, you did it again." And I could feel it still in my mouth. And I said, "I do say that all the time," because I got how familiar that was. But it was my body that told me, not my thinking, that told me that was familiar. It was something I was not consciously aware of. So we pick things up from other people, expressions, tones of voice, particular ideas. My mom was a pretty smart lady in a lot of ways, and very psychologically astute for somebody who never went to college. She would say things to me later that I still remember and think about. Like she would say, "You're never too young or too old to get your feelings hurt." She would say, "Divorced parents should not talk that way about each other in front of their children. Their children are part of that parent. They love that parent. This parent may have trouble with that one, but that's not the kid's problem. They shouldn't have to be in the middle of that." And she said these things to me that stuck in my mind. You know what I mean? Things that were actually positive things for my life that I still have passed on to people or remembered for myself. So our body responds to our thoughts and our behavior. And when we are thinking cruelly about ourselves, or when we are mindlessly overindulging in something, whether it's work or food or whatever, athletics, it doesn't matter. When we're overindulging in something, video games, we are in a sense self-harming because we're getting into one of those things that we feel like we can't stop, where you're in the loop, and those are the kinds of things that we sometimes need to think about, giving them a specific time and place that they get to be, and then letting them go at the other times. David Montz said this: "The truth is that both body and mind play an important role. The mind can discipline the body and teach it, and the body will respond and award the mind with many gifts and thanks." So the body does not have a mind of its own. The brain, of course, is part of the body, but the body, for the most part, is following the brain, and the brain is following the mind that is directing it. That includes the subconscious mind that runs all the subconscious parasympathetic and sympathetic things in the body that we're not doing consciously, automatically. And what it makes me think of is, Caesar on television, who trains dogs? Have you ever seen his show? He's like a miracle. But I saw him go to a house one time where the women that lived there had a dog that was very aggressive. And it was fine with them, but if anybody else came over to the house, the dog would growl, it would bite if they got close to it, and they just felt like nobody wanted to come over because of this dog. And so he went to their house, and he started to get closer, to the dog. Now, the dog was doing his growling and the whole thing that he always did. And at one point, Caesar got closer and the dog bit him. And the person was so upset. Both these women were saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry that he did that." And they gave him something to wrap his hand up in, and he said no. And he didn't move away from the dog when it happened either. He said, "No, it's not his fault. I pushed him too hard. I got too close too fast." The dog was doing what the dog had learned to do for some reason, right? And needed to relearn something. Caesar always says there's no such thing as a bad dog or a dog who can't learn. But there are clueless owners, and they're the ones who need to be trained so that they can support their dog toward behaviors that are wanted rather than ones that aren't wanted. Well, our bodies are like that. They're not bad. They just do what we taught them to do. So if we unconsciously taught them to do certain things that we don't really like eating too much, or the wrong things, or drinking too much, or obsessing with computer games, or overworking, or, tack anything on the end that you want to, shopping, gambling, anything that people can get overindulged in. If you become addicted to it, it may be something that you need an intervention for. You need a 12-step program for. You actually need to step away from it to some degree, or maybe completely, depending on what it is. I mean, we can't give up eating, but we can learn to change what we're doing. And all of those things require a certain amount of practice. The body is meant to be a loving servant. It's supposed to support us and help us in making our process through life somewhat easier. That's why habits develop, so we don't have to spend a bunch of mental energy and physical energy on thinking them through every single time. So instead, the brain supports us in creating a habit so that that particular script, if you want to call it that, runs automatically when we introduce the first step, and we don't have to think about it anymore. So the body wants to support us, but if it becomes like we need the body to defend us, like for the dog, then it will respond to that whether we wanted it to or not. Even though the desire to help and support, or the I shouldn't say desire exactly, but the purpose of its being, we need to mentally be the alpha. You need to be the alpha with your dog. If your dog is the alpha, you're never going to get the dog to do what you want it to do. You have to be the alpha in the relationship, right? Do you know what I'm talking about here? Yes? Okay. So the body is the same way. It's like a little kid or a pet. When it's going off in a direction, that isn't working, you have to take the mind in hand and introduce a different thought. Take the mind and the body over here, because it's a mind-body thing, and direct it differently. You may have to redirect your attention over and over again. Anybody ever have a dog in a cone of shame? Yeah, or a cat even, for that matter. Cats can be trickier with them, but obviously they're so embarrassed to have the thing on. But at the same time, if you take that off the dog, they're going to lick whatever it was that had stitches, or needed to be left alone, or had medication put on it. I don't know if you can actually work with the dog enough to get them not to do that, but you can work with the body mind of your own to get it to stop doing something, or to change how it does it, or to do it less. Is this making sense? Yes? Okay, very good. So what we need in order to produce happier results, in order to let our habits actually sustain more ease in our lives, then we need to use the same strategies we use to get those habits, but in a different direction, to retrain and create happier results. So the loving servant aspect of the body is like this pyramid of people. They're all supporting the girl on top to be able to rise up at the very top. They're supporting her in all kinds of ways, including the girl right below her, who has her hand on her leg to help her be steady as she rises all the way to where she wants to go. And so we need systems, friends that support us. We need practices. We need teachers and teachings that support us so that we can go where we want to go and let go of the influence of habits and thinking that keep pulling us back down onto the floor and falling off. How many times do you suppose you have to practice this before nobody falls or loses their balance or drops somebody else, They don't just do this the first time somebody says, okay, now you guys stand here and you lift her and you get up and you climb up them. Yeah, I think the first few times they may have wires attached, or cushions around them or whatever they need to do to make sure they don't brain themselves in the process of actually learning how to do this. It takes time, it takes frequency, and it takes consistent repetition in order for that support and confidence to arise where the girl who's on the top trusts everybody else in the pyramid that it's going to be fine. You ever watch professional ice skating? Pairs? I know Joe knows about this. When the fellow is flipping the girl around in the air while they're moving and her head is headed toward the ice, that took a while to learn. And I would imagine, there were a few bumps and bruises along the way before they both got it right, so that the balance between the two of them works well enough that he can do that while he's skating, and she can do what she needs to do with her body so that the movement takes place and she lands the way she's supposed to and she can skate on. I don't think that happens the first time, does it? About 1,000 times, yeah, and that's on a good day, right? So we want to be able to teach this amazing vehicle of light, because everything in form really resolves into light. It's just that because of our sensory input, we perceive it differently. We want to retrain this beautiful vessel of light that we're temporarily hanging out in. This is our garment of light. Somewhere in the Bible it says, put on the garments of light. Well, the physical body could be the garment of light that we put on for this part of our expression as a soul, this little bit of our eternal expression as a soul, where we do this life as a human being. Brian Swimmy said, it's amazing that every atom of our bodies, every atom, was forged in the fire of a star. Isn't that something? When Joni Mitchell said we're stardust, she wasn't kidding. Alan Locos is a Buddhist meditation teacher who was very, very, very seriously burned in a plane crash. He recovered with, scars and certain limitations. He still teaches Buddhist meditation. And he said, the miraculous human body will verify the faith we have in it. Now, that's an amazing thing for somebody to say who went through what he went through. But there are things he can do that he probably never should have been able to do again because of his practice, because of his ability to come back to letting go of discouragement and anger and despair and moving forward with hope and persistence and faith and intention in that way. In the foreword of As a Man Thinketh, James Allen said, this little volume, and it is a tiny little thing, is not intended as an exhaustive treatise on the subject of the power of thought. Its object, his little book, being to stimulate men and women to the discovery and perception of the truth that they themselves are makers of themselves, by virtue of the thoughts which they choose and encourage. That mind is the master weaver, both of the inner garment of character and the outer garment of circumstance, and that as they may have hitherto woven in ignorance and pain, they may now weave in enlightenment and happiness. And isn't that the message that we really want to live and be and carry out into the world? A message of enlightenment and happiness and lightening up. And that, the challenge to that, is to be in the world with the conflicts and challenges that we see, and like Alan Locos, who was so badly burned, pull ourselves out of the emotional addiction to rehearsing our upsets about all of that and into a place of blessing, into a place of releasing what we don't know and sending out blessing. I often say these days, I just don't understand how that seems to someone like the thing to do. I just don't understand that. I can't grasp it. Well, I probably never will, and that's not the point. Maybe whether I grasp it or not has nothing to do with anything. What has something to do with everything, though, is that I can look at that and somehow know that it makes sense to that person, and what my role might be to not engage in that, therefore strengthening it, not get fearful of it, and therefore try to pretend it doesn't exist or go to war with it, which also strengthens it, but rather to do an inner corrective for myself, and then take whatever action is necessary in a proper response to what is going on out there. It may be something that doesn't matter, and I don't need to get in the middle of it. It may be something that I'm called to respond to somehow. And that's what voting is all about. We look at the process, we look at the people, we look at our values, and we decide, who do we feel is not only the best representative of that, but who is going to forward the world in a particular way. And then we vote for that person. Whether we think they're going to win or not is a whole nother thing. And that could affect us too. I mean, people like to go with a winner, don't they? People like to support something they feel like has a chance of making a difference. And so sometimes, if people don't think their candidate is going to win, they just don't vote, because it's like, well, why bother? Who knows if your being there voting, though, or your sending in your vote, somehow changes something that inspires other people to go and do likewise. Now, I could get off into something I have a gripe about, so it's time for me to shift gears. All right. So we want to retrain the body through the frequency of repetition of stuff that makes us feel good, of stuff that makes us open more to the wisdom of the universe, of stuff that allows us to learn, to forgive, to have compassion, to be accountable, to hold others accountable, but to do it without criticism, without contempt, and still do what needs to be done. And that is a challenge. So we want to change our focus from whatever we're upset about to what can be done, or to something more positive feeling, and allow that emotion to shift with the focus. And when we do that often, when we practice shifting our attention to something positive and coming back to center, the more we do that with the emotion that goes with it, the more we start to change our entire system and the geography of our own brain. It will make new pathways, and the old ones, which start to get turned away from or neglected, will get more overgrown and less defined over time. So we want to have the frequency of that shift. We want to have the emotion that goes with letting go of that and welcoming or taking in this one. And we want to remember that it requires more than once. I mean, Amanda and I often say with our pets, once is a pattern. As far as the dog is concerned, if we once took a walk at 6 o'clock in the morning, the dog is ready at 6 o'clock the next morning. Like, once is a pattern. Isn't this the time we're going to walk now? I'm ready. No, go back to your bed. No. So, but for us, with the human brain, once is not a pattern. Once is an occurrence, but unless we're into the frequency, the repetition, and the feeling that goes along with it. You can say affirmations until the cows come home, but if you have no feeling that goes with it, it's not going to impact your brain in the same way. The repetition is helpful, but the feeling really supercharges it. When we get the feeling, so sometimes it's helpful, think about, if this result that you're looking for came about in your life, what would that feel like? What would you be doing instead of what you're doing now? Or how would you be interacting with people if you felt like that inside yourself? If you felt confident about something, how would that be different in the way that you would be in the world than if you felt small and tiny and hopeless and helpless? How would that interaction be different? They are different. They feel different, but they also show up differently in the world. But if we train ourselves to focus on taking in everything that allows us to become more confident, then we will exude that even when we're not consciously thinking about it, because the brain is already taking us there out of habit. Yes? So, I want to share a story about a woman who changed her mind about something. This is from Casey Roop, who wrote a book with a very long title called Find Your Strong: How I Changed My Mind to Change My Body and Heal My Heart. So this is a little blurb from the beginning of the book. She says, last year, I attended a book signing in which I had bought a dress to wear to the event. It was pretty, looked gorgeous on the hanger. I tried it on and it felt okay. It was a tiny bit snug and form-fitting, but I liked it. In fact, it was one of probably 20 dresses I tried on that day. Wearing athletic apparel day in and day out, regular clothes felt weird to me. I bought the dress anyway. I also bought a great pair of Spanx to wear underneath, because who wants to suck in all day? For those of you who don't know what Spanx are, they're kind of like what was called a girdle in the old days. It just squishes everything in. Okay. Flash forward to the day of the event. I felt so uncomfortable. Sure, I'd already lost 20 pounds at this point, but I just didn't feel like a supermodel in this dress. In order to get past my discomfort, I made jokes at my own expense. I got so many great compliments on the dress because it was a great dress, but I would brush off those compliments with, I feel like a sausage stuffed into a casing, or I feel like a watermelon shoved into a straw. People laughed along with me, of course, and told me that I looked great. I didn't say it to fish for compliments. I said it because it's how I felt. It's how I had trained my mind to think about my body. When you constantly tell yourself the same things over and over, you start to believe them. I believed I looked like a sausage in a casing. It was only after a good friend, well, my best friend, called me out on it. Cassie, she started, I love you. You know I do. But you say that stuff about yourself all the time. I'm tired of hearing you put yourself down, calling yourself fat, calling yourself stupid. You are anything but. I don't want to hear it anymore. Everyone hears you say it. I'm the only one who loves you enough to say something about it. And she was totally right. Thank you, Judy. It was after this conversation with Judy that I decided I needed a wake-up call. I needed to stop my negative thoughts. I needed to change my mind. I needed to train my brain to think differently. I had to push aside the self-deprecating comments and thoughts and focus on the positive. So I did. I started small. I had to tell myself I wanted to change more than I wanted to stay the same. There's a key. I had to tell myself I was worth it. But not only tell myself, I had to believe it. I wanted to get healthy. I wanted to lose weight, and I wanted to do it the right way. I began by focusing on the positive changes I made during the day, no matter how small. I congratulated myself on drinking a bottle of water instead of soda. I gave myself positive encouragement when I made a home-cooked meal instead of a decision to grab takeout, which had become so very easy to do in my busy life. And slowly but surely, I began to train my brain to think differently. So Cassie gives us a lot of clues here. First of all, she had to decide. She had to decide it was time to retrain her brain. That was the first thing. Then she had to determine if she wanted to change more than she wanted to stay the same. I had a woman in my congregation a lot of years ago now who was an alcoholic, and her drinking had escalated a lot in the last year or so, and gotten so that it was in the way of everything in her life. It was like she couldn't sleep through the night without getting up and going out and drinking some, and then going back to bed. Her body was having all kinds of things going on with her. And she sat in my office once and bemoaned the fact that all of this was happening to her. And we talked about, what it would be like to go into a rehab or do a 12-step program. And she had reasons for why that wasn't a good idea for her. And after she left, I was really struggling with that. And I had said to her at one point, what I'm hearing you say, because she was on the point of considering suicide, I said, what I'm hearing you say is that you would rather die than change. You would rather die than change. Well, she did eventually go into recovery. And as far as I know, she's still doing okay. But that's one of the things that comes to us. Would we rather languish in unhappiness or change? And it's not always an easy choice to make. And then we have to make that choice again and again and again because it doesn't become a habit right away. So we have to continue to make that decision. Yes, I would rather have that than stay this way. I would rather make that change, even though I question how it's going to look or if it's going to work or what it's going to be. Still, I would rather go for that than stay stuck here. Oh gosh, what's his name? Sort of down-home philosopher guy. Will Rogers, yeah. He said, even if you are on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. You actually have to take the actions that are necessary. And I love that expression from him. Even if you are on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there. Get up, move on that track. That's why it's there. So we want to decide and then choose again and again and again and repeat that choice and repeat that new behavior. Each time we find ourselves stuck in the muck, we choose to change the focus. And it's just like practicing on the piano. You get better and better at it so that it starts to happen automatically. I have friends that play the piano fantastically. They don't have to think about where their fingers are anymore or what the left hand is doing when the right hand is doing something else. You know what I mean? How many of you play a keyboard? Yeah, so you know what I mean, right? Yes. So let's consider how in our lives we might be called to change our minds, to retrain them. It may be something very small in your own life, not a big deal at all, but you would benefit from shifting there. Then ask yourself, am I willing to make that shift? Or do I want to stay where I am? If you want to stay where you are, that's a choice you get to make. You can, of course. But also, you have a choice, and that's the power of it. So we want to harness that choice this morning and take it into prayer with us. So I want to invite you to turn within. And first, let's just breathe. Breathe into this garment of light that we're hanging out in, each one of us. This manifestation, this body, this spacesuit, this vehicle of light is divine presence in form. The mind, the soul that lives within it is divine presence in form as me. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this earth walk, for this experience of life in time and space. I'm grateful for all the possibilities and the nuances and the comparisons that it gives me. And I'm grateful that always I have the choice to make changes, that my body, my mind respond to those changes. They are designed to do it. And I am designed to change, not to stay the same. So I today take hold of that great gift, that capacity, that possibility of changing. I allow myself to become more aware of those thoughts that hurt and to learn how to shift them. I am able to persist. I am able to choose, to focus, to feel into this greater goodness. And I am deeply grateful that I have this capacity. I put it to work in my life for the greatest and highest good with deep gratitude at such a blessing. I let it go into the creative law of mind and spirit, which completely supports this in every way. I let it go into the heart of God, where it always has been the truth of me. I let it go and I let it be. I just let it be. And if this is true for you, I invite you to join me as we say together, and so it is. Yes. Take a breath. Very good. I invite you to stand and join me in the morning affirmation. My body is a loving servant. It follows my guidance as I appreciate and nourish it with a healthy attitude and optimism. I organize my actions and behaviors generously for maximum good for myself and everyone concerned. And so it is. Yes, you may be seated. I'm going to invite the ushers to come forward as we prepare for the offering. This morning I received, well, not this morning, a couple days ago, I received something for a memorial I had done that I hadn't been paid for and didn't expect to be paid for. And I felt that it would be important for me to tithe on that. So I brought my tithe this morning for that specific thing that was just given to me. If you would like to text a donation this morning, feel free to use this phone number to do so. And you're going to send it to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. If you are here for the very first time this morning, your presence here with us is the gift. And we're very grateful for that. For all the rest of us, we're going to bless the offerings we're giving this morning or the offerings we've given throughout the week this week, because some of us give through an automatic giving. So I invite you to put your hand near your heart, hold your gift near your heart, or if you're giving it with a loved one, to hold it in your hands together as we say the giving affirmation for the morning. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Thank you. And here's Gary again.
Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's error, let me love. May I have no fear. All the power, all the glory, I surrender. Let it be. Loving Spirit dwells in me, now and evermore.
So all of us here together accept this offering on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. We do so with enthusiasm, sending it out into the world to bless everywhere that it goes, and assisting everyone who comes into contact with it, whether they know it or not, to be more free in their choices for happiness. And so it is.
So it is.
So, if you are with us for the very first time this morning, there's information on both tables, but this table back here has information specifically for you as a visitor, and inside those welcome packets, you'll find a magazine and a welcome card. If you fill out the blue welcome card and turn it in back there, we're going to give you a little book as our thank you gift for your being here this morning, and our invitation to you to come back again. We'd love to welcome you into the spiritual family, so we hope you'll have an opportunity to come back and be with us again in the near future. All of our dear ones here who are coming up on this list are ones that assisted in putting everything together this morning. I want to draw your attention to the altar, which is an abundance of dragons this morning. And this guy right here on the end, this is my favorite guy. And Bridget Frost says his name is Eddie. So you might want to say hello to Eddie when you come up to see the altar. But there are all sorts of different dragons up there, including the one from the Everlasting Story. Is that the name of it? Never-Ending Story. He's up there too. So you can come and take a look. The Frost family did the altar this morning. So we want to thank everybody who was engaged in setting it up and getting it ready and pulling it off for us this morning. Let's give them a hand. Our Women's Drumming Circle is meeting in a new location. They're going to be meeting now with Unity. The groups are going to merge, and at Unity in Marin is where the drumming is going to be taking place from now on. This next one, on October 19th, is from 7 o'clock to 8:30. There will not be a potluck that night, so make sure you have something to eat before you go. And the suggested love offering is $20, but you can give anything that you can. Nobody's going to be turned away. And you can register in advance at this link, which is for the Novato Unity Church, and you can prepay if you want to as well. So you might want to take a screenshot of that, unless you already know the drill, or you got the email, then you'll know. But you can also ask Lori Greer, who's over at the prac table this morning, and was our morning prayer practitioner, any questions about the drumming circle. Also, we have another shoreline cleanup happening. Bring a friend, meet up, clean up, get some exercise, have some social time. This group here includes some people from Edmund Jones, I think, as well, that our folks got to participate with at the last one of these. This one is going to be taking place on next Saturday, October 22nd, from 10 a.m. until noon. And you meet at the parking lot at Target on Shoreline Parkway. And then there's a little walk down there. But it's beautiful, it's easy parking, easy walking, and the trash bags, gloves, and snacks will be provided for you. You do need to bring your own water. Bring a water container and have your own water. So we'd love that. And contact Susie Coity. Actually, Susie's here this morning. Susie, would you stand up? If you're interested in this, you can talk to Susie about it this morning to find out more. She's been coordinating this for, 6-8 months now, every month, and she'll tell you all about it. So thank you, Susie. We love that. You can take this information down if you don't have time to talk to her this morning, but you still want to do this. And similarly, we've got our next San Francisco Marin Food Bank meeting coming up, and that one is going to be November 8th from noon to 2. And we need to get all of our names in by the 1st of November so that they know exactly who's going to be coming, because they figure out how much food needs to be packed or sorted based on how many people are coming. We're not the only ones who go, but that's our slot, and however many of us are on the list, that's who they expect to have come. So do let Ellen know if you have signed up and you're on the list for that day, but you can't do it. And if you are interested in signing up for this November 8th, Tuesday group that's going to be doing this, please talk to Ellen Nicosia. Ellen, would you stand up? and let her know. Also, her contact information is up there, and she will be happy to put you on the list. Our climate action tip of this week is really go to the farmers markets. Support those people. They are local. They are growing fresh food. There it is. Shop locally as much as you can because it supports the local economy and keeps things vibrant, and things are very fresh and available to you. Also, another trick is to shop frequently and to take your own reusable bags and containers because it reduces all of the plastic that you get with your fruits and vegetables, but also if you're not buying prepackaged food, if you're buying it in bulk, then when you take your own container, you're using something you can reuse. It's not something you're going to take home and throw away that ends up in the landfill. Does that make sense? Yeah? So we encourage you to shop and buy locally. Christmas is coming, so think about that. Also, I want to invite the practitioners now to surround the room. All of our prayer practitioners. These licensed practitioners have been trained. Most of them have served more than 10 years already. Some have served 20 years or more than that. A few are newer. So they've been doing prayer for us as a congregation, but also for people individually, their individual clients, and those that are on the prayer table on Sundays for those who come over and request prayer. So Lori and Selma are available this morning at the table. Please come over to them if you would like a prayer this morning. And if you want to, you can instead put a written request in the prayer box at the table, or you can request prayer on our website online under resources, under that tab. So we're going to take a moment now, and all of us are going to pray at the same time for this community. And what you'll hear is just kind of a bunch of people talking all over the place at the same time, because we're not doing this in unison. So your job is not to try and sort it out, but to let the prayer wash over and through you right now. In the deep, full, free, rich presence of God, I allow myself to open and know that the divine is everywhere. It is all. There are no exceptions. I am that, and we together are that. Golden Gate Center and every one of these people here present, everyone that's ever had anything to do with it or will, all of the endowment process, everything is God in action, unfolding for great good. And I know that today we are more capable than ever before of choosing the joy in life, what encourages, supports, and uplifts, what inspires, brings us confidence and peace. I'm grateful to know this truth for every single soul in this room, for health, for wholeness, for optimism, for courage and kindness, for compassion and generosity and peace, in giving and receiving to others and themselves. I'm so grateful. So grateful. I'm so grateful. I let this word go into the law. I let it be. And so it is. And so it is. All right, I'm going to invite you to stand with us now and join together in the benediction and the closing song. So we say, as one, I now walk, so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God. And whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For spirit and all people and I are one eternally. And so it is. And here's the closing song. The words are on the screen.
Thank you again for having me with you this morning. I love you all. Till I can be there in person, I'll leave you with this blessing today.
Sing
Love be with you, peace enfold you, Spirit lift you, breathe it in. Truth come through you, may good flow to you. Let joy renew
you
till we meet again.
Love
Love
be with you.
Ooh, love be with you. All together, hand in hand, we see the light and take a stand, and we are changing a whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free. Share this blessing. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. May good flow to you. Let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you. Breathe it in. Truth come through you. May good flow to you. And let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, 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 love be with you. I love you. See you next time.